One. And we're live.
Hey, everybody.
Happy Free RPG Day.
Happy Free RPG Day. We are here for a couple of reasons tonight. First of all, we're here to find out if the audio sounds good. So if you can hear what we're saying, please let us know. If you can't, direct your questions to Nick.
In the chat.
Or outside. If you're close and you want to brave the conditions.
Yeah, shout it out.
Sean said it sounds good.
Thank you, Sean.
That's all I need.
Yeah, we've got some friends with us tonight. We've got the Heart of the Ghostbusters, Sean Clark, and we also have some other folks who you will know from events at the store who will be joining us in a bit, because we're going to talk about a bunch of RPGs, which is not something we get to do super often.
No.
And by super often, I mean as often as I would like. Yeah. Yeah, so we are going to spend the evening doing two things. The first of which is telling you about some of our favorite RPGs, and things you can find at Superscript that we happen to like a whole lot. And what's the other thing we're doing, guys?
We're pulling raffle tickets. So thank you to everyone who came out today for Free RPG Day. And those of you who made purchases got raffle tickets. And tonight is the night we will be pulling the winners.
Yeah.
So we have some really great prizes.
Yeah.
And we'll be giving them out throughout the stream.
So when we normally do raffles, people have to be in the chat. Is that the case this time?
No.
It is not.
Okay. So if you want to stop watching now. No. We took down email addresses, or if you're already in the system, we have your email address. We will email you
If
in
you
the
want.
event you win. That said, if you win, you have a week to pick it up. If you wait longer than a week, we're setting it on
We
fire.
will destroy it.
Yeah, and then nobody gets to have it. It's
That's
your
right.
fault.
But yeah, why don't we kick it off with a raffle prize right now?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay. Well,
Prize number
We
1.
can't do that, Christine. That'd be like eating your dessert before we
Before
eat
you
our
get-
vegetables.
is this like a bit you guys have been?
No, I don't know. I
working
was
on?
just trying.
So, prize number 1.
That's against the live stream
That's-
committee.
I'm a rule breaker. That's how everyone
Yes,
knows me.
enjoying this reflection of our fluorescent
Like our
light
lights.
directly above. There, still,
Wow.
no, it's just
all
in a
right.
different place. You can read the title.
You can read the title.
That was wise.
There we go. Giant Book of Battlements. This is an
This thing
excellent.
is really cool.
Yeah, this one and any.
It did.
Yeah.
They make 2 versions of all of these. They make like the big book of battle mats, and they make the giant book of battle mats. The giant book of battle mats is very wide. This is like one of the coolest, handiest things.
That a DM could have.
Yeah.
62 pages of Battlements.
They're dry erasable pages. If you get 2 of these things, it's awesome. You can just kind of put them next to each other and like make pretty gigantic dungeons out of them. And really reduces prep work for your fantasy-based or non-fantasy-based, but dungeons are still present somehow.
And it's spiral
campaign.
bound. So, like, it's very portable.
And they make a bunch of different, like they make ones other than the
Dungeons.
dungeon.
There's sci-fi ones. There's we stock all
nice.
those. So if you don't win this one and you still want to buy them, they're very reasonably priced as well.
All right, who wants to pick the first winner?
I
Do
do.
it.
Elliot, make it a good one.
Who would be a bad one?
We're all winners.
All right. Ethan Hassett. Ethan Hassett.
Ethan Hassett.
I
You-
believe Ethan's a brand new customer.
Oh,
Nice.
hey. Well, if you're in
Exciting.
the chat, congratulations. If you're not, still congratulations. We'll see
We'll
ya
email you.
Yeah.
soon. We should determine some sort of system for remembering who won what.
We'll take the ticket to the item.
To the ticket
That
committee.
sounds all right.
Thank you.
Nice.
Well, congrats, Ethan.
Nice job, Ethan. You've won,
You have won.
but you're all winners. In our hearts.
There will be more winners tonight. So, more to come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now let's get to the show. Let's talk about RPGs.
Okay. Yeah, so I think we're going to talk about one with our current crew, and then we'll start subbing in some folks.
Yes.
If you have questions about any of the games we're talking about, and just let us know in the chat, and we can direct our attention to those questions.
Yeah.
yeah.
So the first games we're going to talk about are Star Trek Adventures and Dune. And today, if you were here for free RPG Day, there were free RPG Day mini adventures available. So if you pick them up, listen in, you get to hear about why we like this game.
Yeah, we still have a couple copies of, I think, like literally a couple of each of the quick starts, free quick starts. So if you are interested in Dune or Star Trek Adventures, we can hook you up with one of those while supplies last.
So Elliot, what kind of system do these run on?
So these run on the Modifius 2D20 system. So Modifius Games has 2 systems. They have the 2D20 system and the, I don't know what they call the other system, but the other system is used for things in which combat is like very much not a thing that happens or that you're going to lose no matter what. Like Alien and Tales from the Loop, where you're children.
Year Zero engine.
Year Zero engine. Year Zero
Zero
engine.
And that's Free League.
Oh yeah, you're right. That is sorry. I get
Well,
So-
Modifius just like
distributes Free League,
Yeah.
right? Yes.
or
Free League
It
system.
may be their own.
Thing at this point.
Yeah.
There was some sort of relationship at some point in
There
time.
had been, yeah.
But yeah, so Free League is the Year Zero system. The 2D20 system is quite possibly it's up there as far as like my favorite RPG systems, just because I think it's really easy to run. It uses. I mean, if we want to talk about the system first,
Yeah,
because this is a
talk
game
about the
all
system.
three of us have played.
Let's talk
kind
about
of
the
a
Yes,
lot.
we have
systems.
played together. We have actually
Yeah.
we did a live stream series before we opened.
Did.
If you go to our YouTube page, you can find our early streams of our Star Trek Adventure campaign.
Yeah. So the thing I love about it is I find it really easy to run. And that the whole game involves using multiple d20s and you're combining two sets of skills. So you have skills that are kind of like inherent skills or like more based in like the creature that is you, like your physicality or your mental acuity or more intrinsic qualities, and then other ones that would be like training, like your ability to pilot something or your engineering or what they change the names of them depending on the setting. In Star Trek, they are all the names of the different roles that one might have as
Different
members of
positions,
Starfleet.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, so you might like roll your daring plus your engineering if you had to do something, a daring feat of engineering. So you can pretty easily suss out what the checks are going to be, and you can kind of make a case to your GM about what kind of case
Why you should.
Yeah, if you want to use something specific. And you combine those numbers, and then you just need to roll a d20 under them, and that's a success. And you're trying to get as many successes as possible so you can roll more and more d20s. The more success, the better the outcome for you. The thing I really like about the system is it uses this moment and threat system within it, where if you score more successes than you need, you create this pool of momentum that anybody can take from. And momentum is just a way to buy a dice or buy an additional outcome. Or, since it's Star Trek and it's a utopian future in which you don't have to hoard resources, and you want to take a phaser rifle on a mission, you can spend momentum to say, hey, we're bringing phaser rifles on this mission. And if you run out of momentum, you can do what's called using threat, which is pretty much giving the GM a version of their own momentum that they can use to make things worse. So if you don't have enough momentum to buy yourself a couple of extra d20s or a phaser rifle or whatever, you can say, well, I'm going to use threat to make sure the outcome I want happens. But that's going to give the GM some gnarly tools to make things a lot more difficult.
Yeah.
I love it.
It sort of gives you like you have all the options in the world. You can sort of choose whatever you want, but it's going to raise the stakes or raise the risks if you decide to do that.
It's like success at a cost taken to its utmost like possible outcome, where it's like if you just really want something to happen as a player, you can make it happen, but that there's going to be a consequence for it, and it's going to change things. And that is the system used by a modified version of that system is used in Star Trek Adventures, Dune, John Carter from Mars, Mutant Chronicles, the current most recent edition of that, and the Conan the Barbarian game. Did I miss anything?
No, I think that's it.
All of which are pretty good. Star Trek in particular, I mean, those of you who shop here and have heard me talk about Star Trek at great length, probably.
So one of
know
my
why I
favorite
like
things about the game is that
Sorry.
yeah, this is how it works. I just have to jump in. So I love that in Star Trek Adventures, you are an elite class. Like, you know, you are pretty,
you're in
you have gone
Starfleet.
through Starfleet Academy, so you are the best of the best, good at your job. So you start out already great, but then you have this life path that you build as you go, as you gain experiences. And I really love like how the character creation is seamless and really your characters can grow. What's the mechanic?
And one of the ways you grow is by, so I forget the name of the mechanic, but when you
milestone
challenge
system.
when you challenge your own
values,
one of your values, right?
So the most Star Trek thing possible is the way you progress is by selecting a value that you would like to challenge at the beginning of a session, because the game is very episodic, because it's based on a television show, and the your character has different values. They provide you different benefits in situations where those values would be beneficial. So if you challenge one, you don't have access to that until the end. And then at the end of a mission, if you successfully made it through without using that value, you can decide to pick a new value or add some stats, because you level up your character by growing as a person.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
Also, one of the mistakes we so often, like every group I have played in where we have played Star Trek Adventures, we have all stepped in this hole, is we are literally trying to solve the physics of how to like solve a science mystery or whatever quagmire you're in. We have sat there and been like, I think there's something about protons and neutrons.
Pretty
and...
sure I remember this about gravity.
That's another thing you can use momentum for, is be like, I need to know something about this situation, and that's when your GM can give you the technobabble solution for it.
Yes.
But that's definitely something, though, it's a really good point.
To overcome.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of intimidating at first when you're just like, my guy is supposed to be a master of all this stuff.
We're solving a morality play involving binary suns.
Yeah.
But once you figure out, like, as a group that you can, like, barter for information from the GM, like, it really makes the game so much, like, immersive, like it's an episode.
Yeah, you can even buy, in a sense, you can sort of buy, I think just with momentum, you can buy, like, a stroke of luck or fate to happen, right? You can just say, like, something needs to happen to
we
get
need to
us
have a
further.
scientific breakthrough, like, I need that now, let's spend momentum.
Right. It's excellent.
The one thing I do, and then I will shut up and we can move on to talking about Dune a little bit, but the thing that I really like about it, too, is Star Trek, just as a setting. If you're a GM who's ever run into all of the typical GM problems, the setting that is Star Trek solves a lot of them. Like, splitting the party, not a problem, because you can teleport to where the good stuff's happening.
And you have your communicator.
And you can talk, so you don't have to be like, you didn't actually hear that because you're not there in that cave or whatever. Like, you can all be in that cave, because it's Star Trek, and there's only one cave.
Question from the chat, from Todd. Can you use momentum to declare, for lack of a better word, the science behind a thing?
Yeah, that's sort of how it works, yes. You can use momentum to say, like, I want to know if you have sufficient momentum, be like, I want to have the solution to this problem. It doesn't mean you could necessarily invent it whole cloth. Like, as the player.
But that's not out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah, it's not.
Like, my character knows, has this specific study that they did at the Starfleet Academy, and so they know a little extra something about that. I could totally see that working. Like, for momentum, I would like to say that my character is an expert in this field, and they have knowledge beyond the layperson.
I have this xenobiology skill, and I would like to spend. How much momentum is it going to take me to say that I know the cause of this illness?
Yes,
and
exactly.
then that can kind of be worked out with your GM.
Yeah.
Dune, similar system. Less aspirational science fiction.
Yes.
I mean, Dune is incredibly hot right now for obvious reasons. The new film coming out. This looks awesome. I actually beta tested it a little bit. It's really cool. It is, if you are a fan of Dune and you have ever wanted to play around in that setting and be a Fremen warrior or, a human computer on drugs, these options are available to you.
Yeah, so this is, we had the quick start available through Free RPG Day for both Dune and Star Trek Adventures, but we also, in store, have the rule books for these books. So if you're interested, if you like the quick start, you picked it up today.
Other way.
Well, it doesn't have to be. They can read it either way.
That would be upside down.
Yeah, but everyone can read upside down.
Oh.
But anyway.
This is true.
They spent the momentum.
That's right. They spent their momentum. They can read upside down. But yeah, so if you picked it up and you're interested in more, we have the core rule books for each. But yeah, I think though it's probably time for another raffle
Yeah.
prize, and then
It is.
I have one thing though I
one
want to
more
point
thing.
about Star Trek, and then I'll not talk about Star Trek for the last night. There is an alternate edition of the Star Trek Adventures core rulebook that is the Klingon Empire based, that replaces all instances of Starfleet with the Klingon Empire. If you wanted
pretty
to
awesome.
be it's the entire rulebook, but if you weren't on a mission of science and peace and exploration, but like, you know, glory for
different game.
Yeah.
House Martok
Yeah.
or whatever. Same exact rulebook in every way, other than that. And like most of this rulebook is fluff. Like this is like memory. This is like a well illustrated memory alpha,
Mm-hmm.
and this is just like does not mention any of it. Cool.
More prize.
I got to pick one last time.
I'm moving it so that I can get these prizes displayed.
That's a big.
Big
man.
prize
Ooh,
here.
Oh, we got Megan Brenders in the
Oh,
chat.
Megan Brenders says, "Gotta toot my own horn. I DM'd 4 mini D&D games today with a bunch of Girl Scouts out at camp. I feel
Whoa,
very
Woo!
accomplished and want to share with people who would understand.
that's awesome, man.
That is
That's an
amazing.
excellent way to celebrate free RPG
That
Day.
is,
Taking it to the
yeah.
youth.
yeah.
Spreading the word.
Mm-hmm.
Future of America.
Where's that podcast?
All right. Nick, do you want to pick this next prize?
Sure.
We've got some
For
Critical
the-
Role figures here.
Yes.
All right.
Austin Ashwill.
All right.
Austin.
Austin Ashwell.
Yeah, Austin was a new customer today. He played in Randy's second
Oh,
game of the
okay.
day, the 5 o'clock one.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice job.
Congrats,
Austin.
Austin.
You have won the big.
Sorry.
one
those
of
big
one of
things.
the big
Yeah.
Critical Role minis ones with
Nicely
the giant
done.
Udok that I think retails for like $95. Those
Those
things are rad.
minis are awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they are great, and we have more Critical Role minis on the way.
Yeah.
But now we're going to change things up. So we've got Beckett entering the
One of
forum.
those surprise guests, and I can take over chat because I think this one is
Sure.
Nick and Beckett.
Yeah. We'll do a little scoot.
I have to say, we made an itinerary this time, people. This is not all off the cuff.
Cool. All right. So we're going to talk a little bit about Savage Worlds, and I got the Savage Worlds Riffs supplement as well.
That too?
Well, you know, I really, honestly, just kind of wanted to, like, show some art from this thing, honestly. I really just wanted to, like, I feel like you can't understand riffs until you see some of this classic art in here, but we'll save that.
Yeah,
That was just tease.
Because actually, I think that's when we were talking about this years ago, when this first came out.
Yeah.
That was one of my, laments. Was
that the art.
The art was just
Yes.
who cares?
Right.
Where it's fine.
Yeah.
It's
fine. It gets the
yeah.
point across. But man,
It wasn't
some
like-
of the art. Yeah. Some of the art in this classic riffs book is amazing. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about Savage Worlds. So I've run Savage Worlds as I did like a homebrew fantasy game with Savage Worlds. I have not run riffs with Savage Worlds yet,
So-
but I am it's on my list when I can get there.
Like,
But it's a great system. I love the
It
Savage
was
Worlds
my
system.
go-to, maybe 8 or 9 years ago.
Okay.
Savage Worlds, like it was, my main game group had been playing like 4th edition D&D,
Right.
and so at the time, and this I think is kind of funny, in that at the time I was like, oh wow, this game is so light,
Right.
and then
Compared, sure.
compared to like what I
what
have
was
been
out
playing.
at the time. Yeah.
Whereas then when I was running this last year, and now I've been running, like old school essentials and dungeon crawl classics, I'm like, wow, there are a lot of rules.
There's a lot more in Sentinel. Yeah, yeah.
So it just shows it's all perspective, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely fits kind of in between there.
But for miniatures, for a game, if you're gonna play with miniatures,
Mm-hmm.
that is because just like if it's too rules lighty, well, I mean, then you're still just playing with toys and it's fun.
Sure.
But like if you want to
you
play with
want
toys
some-
but have the rules incorporate the
Right.
cool toys.
And Savage
is
Worlds, I think
my
one
preferred one.
of the things it does very well is it scales very well. It has, I think, rules that work very well for mass battles if you want to do that. And I guess we should also say the core book for Savage Worlds, the system itself, is meant to be, it is setting agnostic, so you can do, like I said, I did a fantasy game, you could do some sort of modern setting, you could do future, so
Horror.
anything in
before
between.
the Rifts book, the Rifts book is the only like setting book I've used. I've used some
Okay.
of the Savage Worlds toolkits, which I don't know if any of those have been updated for the new Adventure Edition.
Yeah, I don't know if they have. But I don't know. I like it a lot just as a use your own homebrew thing for it. The system is quick to get started. I had a lot of success running it for players that were new to RPGs in general, and it was really attractive to them because, especially compared to like what else was around at the time, like it was like, oh, you can just get this one pretty affordable core book and you're good to go.
It was a $10 book at the time.
Yeah, when it was just like the paperback one.
Yeah.
This one is still, I think, affordable
Yeah.
for what
For
it is.
an
And
entire
it's
game
40
system.
$40 for its nicer
So,
new
a
edition.
fraction of $150.
Yeah. And it's like character creation is really quick. I think combat
robust.
moves very quick. Yeah, and that's the whole thing with the system.
If you want to get
It
into
is-
the like.
if you want to get into a
tweaking-
little bit of a little bit of a good crunch, I guess, with your with combat and all that stuff and tweaking your character and stuff, it has that, but it's quick to get started.
And the dice mechanic is my favorite.
It's awesome.
Like,
Yeah.
actually, earlier today, I was talking to someone about what we both have come to appreciate about, like, the rules light games, where instead of, we were again talking about 4th edition, where that's what they learn role
Okay.
playing on.
Oh wow.
And so
That's so
it was like,
interesting.
Yeah.
well, I just would peel a lot of stuff off
Mhm.
to be able to play the game I wanted to play. We're like, what
Mm-hmm.
we both have come to appreciate is being able to just like build up from, rather than having to peel off, just build out.
Okay.
And I think taking that kind of core, rolling a 6-sider and rolling a die based on your like relative ability at that skill.
Yeah. So
That's so fun.
Yeah.
Like, and exploding dice are so fun.
Yeah, so real quick, just to elaborate on that, the core to a lot of the leveling up of your abilities in Savage Worlds is there is a dice or a die sort of attributed to your different abilities in the game, and when you level up, you might upgrade your skill from being a D4 to a D6 to a D8 and so on, so that you're rolling bigger and bigger dice when you use that skill going forward. So yeah, it's
I'm
just
a
super
little
satisfying.
Rusty, but I think you start off at a D4 minus 2
Okay,
is if you're untrained.
if you just
Then as a heroic character, you also get your I think it's called a wild die.
right.
There's a lot of weird like nomenclature because it comes from Deadlands.
Yes.
So there's there's all the like acing.
There's a lot of stuff with cards.
Yeah,
you
and
use a deck
I was
of
like,
cards.
what? Like, none of this made sense to me. And then I realized it was their Weird West game is where all of these terms came from.
Yes.
And then it became more understandable.
But yeah, the core dice mechanic is super satisfying. It also can make combat really exciting because you can just have a player roll some dice, and because the dice explode.
Yeah, and so an exploding die, we should explain.
Yeah.
When you roll the highest number possible on a die, you roll again and add it to your result.
Right.
And if you roll the highest again, you roll again.
Yeah.
So it's possible, especially if you're only rolling a 4-sider, then
Right.
your odds are actually better to
just keep
and
exploding.
like it's just like what like
yeah
it's
talk
definitely
about...
the fun like as far as just like I'd be lying if I would say my most like memorable game experiences like as far as like narrative and that kind of stuff. That's not what I remember. But
Sure.
just like the holy shit
Right.
that was like it's just the dicing mechanic is the best.
Because it can keep going. It's just everyone at the table being like, do it again, you know, get the 4 again. Yeah, it's awesome. I like the way they do initiative. It's a small thing, but initiative.
It is.
It's a deck of playing cards. The DM deals everyone a card, and that is your initiative. If you have a joker, you can act at any point during the initiative round.
And you get a bonus.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's right. It's a simple thing. It actually makes it go quicker than having everyone roll off and the DM being like, you know, everyone tell me what you rolled.
So
it's just smart.
Actually, this brings up a thing. The difference between playing at a table and online. So I like card-based initiative playing in person.
Okay.
So
yes.
Savage Worlds, Troika, which is a very that's I think the coolest initiative system. We won't talk about it because I'll tangent all night.
That'll be after
then,
hours. We'll go
but
after party.
Maybe we should do this more often.
Yeah.
Those but trying to run online games and the Savage Rifts I ran last year was middle of the pandemic. It was online. Card initiative, like maybe if you have the right virtual tabletop software where there's a module and it does it, but like just trying to do it with
that seems hard.
Sucks.
Yeah.
And you know I'm stupid and didn't.
Does it just turn into you drawing the cards for everybody and essentially
and then trying to keep track of everything?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
That seems fair.
Yeah.
Because I was running it just using Jitsi, the teleconferencing node, and like a shared whiteboard.
So I didn't know that Deadlands is where all the terms came from. I remember like from being a kid that there was a Deadlands RPG that existed. So we've got a couple people in the chat who also chimed in with that right as you guys were saying it, and someone is requesting a Troika stream chat also. So let's add that to the list of things we should probably do.
Actually, Troika ties into Dune.
Oh, really?
Because one of the chapbooks, Acid Death Fantasy, is like it's like Hodorowski Dune.
Oh.
Okay.
Well, aptly named then. Hey,
Yeah,
RIP's in the chat too.
We're getting the
So I remember
flashing light.
Oh, okay.
Whatever that is.
Does the flashing light mean
Time for another
time for
prize.
another
prize?
Okay.
We are going to give away this Star Wars Age of Rebellion beginner set, so you can get started with Star Wars Age of Rebellion. Oh,
And-
it's falling off.
Funny to segue back to online versus in person. I could not get into this game when I only played it online. When it was a virtual tabletop and you hit a button, it gives you a result. Played it in person with Sean, rolling actual dice, seeing how it worked.
Much better.
It's great.
Nice.
Internet, it's
It's fascinating
it's-
how it shakes out differently
Yeah.
for different systems.
all right. Haley De Maria.
Haley DeMaria. Yeah.
Woo!
Wow.
Congrats.
Congratulations.
Nice. Haley.
Sorry
You
if
will
we're
get
butchering your
the-
name, but that looks
The Star
phonetically
Wars.
correct. Yeah, so I think we can.
Nice.
Yeah, let's just pull a.
Let's quickly.
Yeah. So we'll do a side by
Quickly.
side.
So worth saying, the
Oh,
art
yeah.
in the original Rift's amazing. The rule system convoluted
Lacking.
at best.
I want to try it again.
Okay.
Like I really want
we
to.
we could do that.
I figured out a few ways.
I cracked
like,
the code
of,
on the
of
Rift
like how I would run it differently.
I'm down.
And all right, so okay, this reminds me of
So this is the Savage Rifts. Great, it's this great Savage World system in the Rift setting.
this reminds me of a Sega Genesis fighting game that I can't remember. the
Tournament
name.
Champions.
Yes.
That's Champions.
And
could do
like
something.
I was just like, what now? So yeah, compared to
Paired.
like,
Oh my
whoa,
God.
like check out that Wolfen in high tech body armor,
So
the Dead
This
Boy,
Psyker. And for Rifts,
the Size Stalker, yeah.
for people unfamiliar with Rifts,
yeah, so
I mean,
this store probably partially owes its existence to Rift's existing because it's so much of mine and Nick's like childhood friendship. But it is a setting where everything can happen. So it is a post-apocalyptic America where there are rifts that have opened up all over the world, and they connect to a multiverse, and those things come through like demons and aliens and dinosaurs and
And humanity is the worst monster of them all.
because of course it is. Yeah, and there's like weird vampire hive intelligences. Like it's the most 90s ass thing that you could possibly have, and it looks so good. The rule system is a largely percentile dice based thing.
Well,
and
for skills.
for skills, but D20 based for
Combat.
The Rifts is kind of best known for having a billion character classes. Like if you think Pathfinder has a lot of character classes, like you ain't seen shit. Like it is every Rifts book had like 20 new character classes.
And there's like 100 books.
Yes.
oh yeah.
And there's not even just one kind of character class. There are also Rifts is known for like terrible abbreviations. So there's two types of damage in Rifts. Like
Yeah, and then there's hit points. So
yeah,
there's
hit points, and then SDC, which is structural damage, and then mega damage, which is essentially one mega damage capacity.
MDC.
Equal to 100 SDC. Have you lost us already? Yeah, that was what playing Rifts was like.
Yeah.
As a DM, it was like a pain to run because, or at least when we were in high school or junior high or whatever, like we'd be like, okay, we're gonna run this game, and we're starting at level 1, and you'd be like, well, I want to play this Cyber Dragon from the Japan source book, and I want to play this.
Be a cowboy on a kangaroo.
Yeah, from the Australia one, and then I want to be the coolest thing in the game, the Glitter Boy, which is the name of the giant mech with a railgun on it.
The boom gun.
Yes. the
Mhm.
boom gun.
Because there's a sonic boom that the company is inspiring.
Which actually, I was looking up some stuff on Rifts today, and I was reminded that the original name for Rifts was going to be Boomers.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep. Because that's what they were
'Cause
going to
that's
call
like
the
eating
glitter.
mushrooms.
That's what they were going to call the Glitter Boy. But they realized it was already being used in like Bubblegum Crisis. So
Which is
like-
a wild thing for like, oh, we can't get in the way of Bubblegum
Yeah.
Crisis.
But if
yeah,
you look,
it was almost Boomers.
Yeah.
this bite and saying that now,
Yeah.
it bites bubblegum.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's hard.
it totally does.
But so that weird percentile skill system,
Mhm.
20-sided combat system, really what it is, it's taking D&D and RuneQuest
Okay.
and mixing them together. And so you can see, so that's like,
Oh,
the Palladium
We're getting
RPG.
some requests that I think all three of us are doing it. The mics pick up all the table sounds
Uh-oh.
when we are getting
Oh.
excited
Oh,
about
that was
it.
totally me.
No, it was me too.
Sorry.
Thanks, man.
But so yeah, like so early 80s Palladium RPG, fantasy RPG, it's taking stuff from RuneQuest, which is like the crazy multi-leveled combat, but then taking like the D&D 20-sider,
Mm-hmm.
and then but being like, well, yeah, for the skills, we'll just keep RuneQuest style skills, which is like BRP. If you play Call of Cthulhu, that's what RuneQuest is also like.
We're getting the red light number 2. I think we gotta move on to the next segment.
On to
Ryan, you and me, we're up next. Man, well, thank you, Beckett. Marathon segments for me here, which this is all my own doing. That's true.
I'll be back on the computer.
I'm gonna get this out of here.
They left me. They made me come up here, and then they left me. I feel like Garth in that part in Wayne's World.
All right, Ryan, you got some stuff to put on camera.
Yeah, Elliot.
Yes.
What is a movie franchise that I love? That isn't Star Wars or Marvel or... I could keep going, but what's your first guess?
You like a lot of movies.
I do.
The Meet the Fockers extended universe.
You're close.
Sharknado.
Alien. Very similar.
You can spin them
Yeah.
around this.
Well, you're in space, so you're going to just kind of go all over the place.
God, those covers look so good.
They look great, don't they?
Yeah.
So, Alien is aforementioned Free League. It runs on a system that is mostly D6. Well, all D6s, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, we played this once, I think.
We played it on Halloween last year. You ran it,
for-
right when it came out.
Yeah.
I love this game.
It's very fun.
Yeah.
I would like to play it more. I have trouble running it sometimes because I'm not mean enough to
Yeah,
my
I
players.
was gonna say it calls for a brutal DM in a way that
Yeah, it gets a little.
You've gotten
physical.
too good at DMing to just murder all of your players.
I'm gonna open this box.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Show
this
us-
is the
show us what we
starter
got.
set, and this is a pretty.
I feel like
awesome
this
thing.
is like the knife show on like late night TV
Yeah.
now.
So this is.
What else comes in the set?
Yeah. So it comes with the deck of cards, which. But it most importantly comes with a set of the panic dice or the stress dice, which are these yellow ones.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see the ones are replaced with little face huggers. And these are your regular dice that you roll to see if you succeed or not. Now, there's a bunch of junk in here that I never took out, but
Does it come with all of your handwritten notes?
it comes with all of my handwritten notes. I will send them to you. There's a map of a starship in there.
Oh,
Here's
God.
a rule
We should
book.
Look at that map of the starship.
And here is a little quest, Chariot of the Gods. Which is pretty cool. I mean, that one takes place...
Is that the one we ran?
That is not the one we ran. So this one actually takes place on a starship that you guys own or work on. You know, your Star Truckers, just like in the Alien universe.
Mm-hmm.
This is a pretty wild map, so I'm not going to open it.
Fair enough.
What we played was all this stuff. I'm sorry, everybody. What we played was actually the adventure that comes in the game guide, which is awesome. I love when you buy a rule book for a game system and it comes with a mock adventure in it.
Yeah.
Or just something so that you can teach people.
Well, that
how to
one
play.
felt pretty fully fleshed out.
It's short. So this game is supposed to be like a 3-act thing, just like a movie.
Which I like that they state that. Like that was something when you bought this book first. Like I think it was like super. It came out like very early in the pandemic, like right when like all the supply chain stuff was going to hell, like the first time. And I remember it was like super heavily allocated. It was like really hard to get, and I think we got like 2 copies, and you and one other customer bought one.
Yeah.
And I was just, like being like, I don't understand how you can make an alien RPG work or whatever. Like it's not a thing you could do. Like, hey, we're gonna play Alien every week, and you're like, oh no, you're not. You can't.
Yeah.
Like the game states.
Yep.
Maybe 3.
There are ideas for like a long-term campaign, but in those things you aren't fighting aliens.
Mm-hmm.
You're shipping things and you're fighting space pirates and stuff like that. So really where it shines is the 3-act story. Your first is going to just kind of be that slow build to horror, and then your second one is going to be that big climax, and then the third one is going to be kind of the come down. So
Just grabbing some other stuff.
you have to really read these books and put a lot of attention into what it's telling you so you can get the pacing right, so you can get the feel right. Also, it's difficult to be like, oh, well, you know what a facehugger looks like, right? So it looks like there is a facehugger here.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be a little more imaginative, and as a player, you have to come to it thinking that your player doesn't know what an alien what a xenomorph is, what a face hugger is, and what
that definitely, like, I thought that was going to be more difficult than it was. Like, it is. And it was like one of those things where I was just like, I guess we're all gonna get the twist, like that it's an alien.
Yeah.
But then when you think about, like, you actually do that in every role playing game.
Right.
Like we all
Yep.
read Lord of the Rings. Like we all know what a goblin is. Like we've all pretended, you know, like you ask the question in Dungeons and Dragons all the time when you like walk into like a cave and being like, how much do I know about dragons? You know, like how much do I know about xenomorphs? And the answer is nothing. Every single time.
Nobody knows
unless you're
anything.
Paul Reiser, and then more than you're letting on. But yeah, that
Spoiler alert.
for
Please go watch Aliens. Like seriously, please, if you haven't seen it, just do me a personal favor.
But yeah, like a lot of the stuff that I was like, this is going to be tricky.
Yeah.
Like, or this is asking too much players. Turns out it's not. Like it's really well done. And also, like most Free League books, if you just wanted the best alien coffee table book
fantastic
about like the universe, like it's got all
drowning. Hey.
Yeah, hey.
So maybe that wasn't the best page to open to, but here's like the star system.
Yeah. It has that.
Here's a timeline. I mean,
Yeah.
Who doesn't love a timeline?
well, when it comes to Alien,
I just love a timeline.
Yeah, that too. Nom. It like the whole book has the whole like retro future aesthetic that you want out of.
this book looks like the first movie. Well, the first two movies.
Yeah.
We've got a question from the chat. Todd is curious about the deck of cards in the Alien starter box.
Okay.
Question mark.
The deck of cards in the Alien starter box are a set of items, weapons mostly. I think there's some vehicle stats, and there are some generic character stats as well. The cards in the starter box, I didn't open mine because I'm such a sucker for this game that I bought the deck before I bought the starter box. So there's like initiative cards. These are all initiative cards. Here's a character card. Here is a flamethrower. Here is a truck. So it's all just kind of stuff like that, and really this helps you keep some stats straight.
Yeah, so all of those items have stats on the back of it, and actually the reason I found them really useful, Todd, is that it's a game where you're finding everything that you have. Like it's not because it is like quintessential survival horror in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
You're what your group has on you at any given moment is like critical to figuring out what you should do, and being able to do a quick visual check around the table and see like, okay, we got a flamethrower over there, we got a truck, we got a gun, like these are the things we currently are in possession of, you know, and here's who's left, because that's also the other thing. Is like it is a game where permadeath happens fast.
So Todd says that he thinks adding weapon cards, inventory cards to RPGs is a nice touch.
Yeah.
That sounds really cool.
It does.
And they're really
works
helpful because you don't necessarily have to track all those stats on a character sheet if you don't want to.
I do really quick before we pull our next raffle prize want to point out there's a new book for this game that just came out, The Alien Colonial Marines. Nick, you queue up a prize while we're...
But also, if you weren't in... Oh, go ahead. You were going to talk about the new adventure.
There's a new book.
Okay.
That's it.
So...
I
There's
haven't bought the
large
new
on
book
the
yet.
second movie.
Very good. So if you were into the system but you weren't into Alien, heaven forbid, is there any other option for you?
Well, yeah, if you just like the system, it is a system that sees a lot of play, mainly in Free League's games where like you're not going to win the fight kind of thing. So an alien, you know, like you can shoot an alien, like you can damage it, you could even kill it, but it's like not the way to resolve the conflict, because
it often
it's
causes worse things to occur. So shooting an alien causes the other people around you to get scared and begin to stress out, because most people aren't accustomed to the sound of automatic gunfire.
So your other option in this
Lord knows.
system, this system,
is a game called Tales from the Loop, and also we have the Things from the Flood, which is like so these are Goonies meets X-Files meets. I feel like actually I'm gonna pop out real quick because
Stranger
Nick
Things.
has run this game and I have not. Nick.
Sure. Nick's
You
on their
wanna talk
way
about-
in with
or-
the next prize, but also to describe Tales from the Loop while we pull the next prize.
Sorry, I don't want to buck the itinerary.
No. How dare you? I'm not supposed to be on until segment 6. Yeah, Tales from the Loop. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. Goonies meets X-File. Tales from the Loop is as the tagline is, role-playing in the 80s that never was. So it's sort of this weird retro future 80s. And the setting is great. I mean, the setting is originally came from just an art book, this beautiful art of this world that they then turned into this game, or expanded into this game. And one of the keys that makes the game incredible is you are playing as kids, so you're not very powerful, and you can just kind of do what you can doing kid stuff and try to uncover these mysteries, but ultimately you're not very powerful in the world. It's got some
maybe a Stranger Things vibe.
Totally, yeah, and it's got some really cool mechanics with that. If you are, I forget what the age range is for the playable characters, but if you are on the younger end of the spectrum, you're not as skilled, but you're luckier. And then if you're an older kid, you have a little more skill, but you're not as lucky. And then there's some cool things there. I really want to run this game again. So I guess after I run Savage Worlds again soon, I'll run some Tales from the Loop.
And someone tonight might win.
Someone might win
Might
the
win a
starter
Tales
set.
from the Loop starter set.
Yeah.
So,
But right now,
right now, you could win these
Critical
Critical
Role
Role figures.
It's gonna be Tessa Logan.
Oh, congrats, Tessa.
Hey! Nice.
Tessa Logan. All right. There we go.
Sean both
Cool.
really like Critical Role.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's an exciting win.
Well, they won these. Cool.
And we're moving on to our next our role-playing game. Nick, if you want to take
I'll
over the
hop
chat,
over here.
we're
Yeah.
gonna get Beckett and Elliot back in.
You want to switch this up and maybe make it Beckett and Ryan, just because I've been.
Okay. Do they want to do Quiet Year and?
Or no, we can do
Okay.
this. We can do this one. We'll do let's do OC.
Or
Let's get some copies.
yeah.
So there's that. Do you want
Player's Tome. Yeah.
Player's Tome? We've got one.
Grab the.
Congrats,
award-winning
Tessa.
Halls of the Blood King.
Okay.
Grabbing
it's
some
the
old
good
school
one.
Don't look
essentials
behind the curtain, people.
right in front of our RPG shelf here. All right.
And if anyone
Oh, here, yeah.
has been
So
looking
they,
for these,
You're gonna want to
these. Oh yeah, whoops.
I don't know. We all do it.
Well, and also these are not gettable like anywhere.
Yeah.
So run down
We've still
here.
got 'em. Tomorrow. Close now.
And yeah, you've got eBay gold on your hands.
Definitely not buying them all right now.
So,
So tell us about old school essentials.
There's no one better equipped to tell us about old school essentials, I feel like, because you kind of have been following the development of this since, well, you tell the story.
so Old School Essentials was initially BX Essentials, and that kind of speaks to what it is, and it is a faithful recreation of 1981 specifically, BX, Moldvay Cook, D&D. So, I don't know if you want to get into the specific versions of Dungeons and Dragons.
You're getting called out for hitting the table again.
Ah, shit, I'm sorry. I'm going to keep them...
It's fine.
We're gonna tie back in the chair.
So yeah,
So I actually I feel like that's something worth at least addressing. So like when we say like BX. What does that mean? Like,
So there's in the 1974 Dungeons and Dragons came out as the Little Brown Books. It's, if you've ever read them, it makes no sense. So and then in like 1979, there was the first box set D&D that was put out, and that was put together by Holmes. I forget the guy's first name. So Holmes Basic is the blue box set,
which you like never see.
and then 1981 rolls around after Advanced Dungeons and Dragons had started coming out, and Tom Moldvay was the editor of what becomes Moldvay Cook BX for Basic Expert, and that is remembered as the finest hour of Dungeons and Dragons because of its clear presentation and hackability. So it was easy to adapt and to do what you wanted it to do. And then probably the set that I was familiar with was also a red basic box set, but then this is where things get confusing. That's the Menser box set, and that acronym is BECME because it went Basic Expert Companion Master Immortals. And then BECM No I made it into the Rule Cyclopedia, which came out in 1992, which until these clones were started to be put out was considered the best all-in-one book of Dungeons and Dragons. And now it's available like print on demand, but for I think the actual Rule Cyclopedias are still like $150 books. But so Old School Essentials is a recreation and clarification of BX, and Gavin Norman has kind of laid out exactly where he departs and for what reason. So there's some anything that is this was unclear and a decision had to be made, spells it out in the author's notes section. And then on the side here is the Old School Essentials Advanced Fantasy Player's Tome and Referee's Tome, which still uses the basic D&D framework, but takes things from Advanced Dungeons and Dragons and puts it in there. So there is a Drow Elf class. Because this uses race as class.
You could be a thief or an elf, but you can't be an elf thief. It's one of the
so
other.
You can if you pick up this.
The advanced, yes.
But then there's also for the advanced races, which there's half-orc, drow, drugar. Is that how you say the deep dwarf?
Yes.
What's the deep gnome? Is the deep gnome in there?
Smurf
I have no idea. I don't know. Actually, I don't know if that's in there or not.
Yeah. What'd you call me?
Regular gnome is in there, and half orc, half elf. So those all get treatments as class, and then also there's rules for playing separately. And this is what I ran this afternoon.
Did you run just Old School Essentials or Advanced?
I had I made an assassin as one of the pre-gens.
Okay.
So that came from the advanced book.
Got it.
But I didn't really use any of the advanced rules. So original BX rules as written all player weapons did a 6-sider of damage. So I used that rule today, and it was kind of interesting. You know, it changes the vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah, we started playing Dungeons and Dragons on, it was AD&D, it was the black hardcovers.
Right.
God, I cannot remember. So like a lot of this
That would have been second edition.
second
yeah.
edition, yeah.
And the second version of second edition.
Yeah, it was fairly late into second
Yeah,
edition, yeah.
Yeah, definitely, because I think 3.0 came out when we were like in middle school.
Yeah.
But it's interesting reading this and it harkening back. Like a lot of it feels super familiar even to that.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
just like THAC0 and stuff that I haven't thought about in a while. But one of the things I really liked about it is the advanced stuff includes THAC0, but also if you just want to use ascending armor class, that's in there too.
that is one of the changes. Is there is ascending armor class as an optional rule.
Yeah.
So what would, I guess, let's say I'm a someone that's been playing D&D 5th edition, 5th edition, and have been liking that, or just have been playing other RPGs, but I am not familiar with older D&D editions. What would be, why would I want to, what would be for me to check this out? What's the draw in your opinion, I guess?
It's a different approach.
Yeah.
And what really kind of brought the clarity to that was, I mentioned earlier how I thought Savage Worlds was a lighter rule system.
Right.
So going to, when we were playing 4th edition and one combat would take the entire session,
Sure, yeah.
all of our shenanigans went out the window because it was just, we're doing one battle and then maybe, the one, friend of mine who's a jerk would be like, well, let's kill everybody in this village. It's on the road to hell. That was that's a true story, and I still get angry thinking about that. I'm like, what did they do, man? They didn't do anything. But so that rules complexity made all of the role playing kind of become secondary.
Sure.
Yeah.
And the character built, and then when I was playing, Craigslist D&D, my casual encounters, it's
Wait a second.
I'm all like, how should I build my character? And so that kind of brought it into, even because so half of our group would just be too drunk and stoned to care what they were picking when they went up. But we were still also, we gotta go up a level. We gotta go up a level. It was just this kind of fiending, gotta go up a level. What am I gonna get? What am I gonna take? Oh, when I go up in 2 more levels, I'll be able to take this. And so we didn't care about what we were doing on the adventures.
Right.
We were caring about oh, and dude, maybe we can do a session where we get to fight each other to see who built the best guy.
Yeah.
And so when you kind of so there's not any kind of, in 5th edition, you're a bard. You get to, I shouldn't have picked, because I forget that means oh, I'm the horny guy.
Heard it here first.
What? You don't know bard internet
I'm
stuff?
on board with you.
Yeah. I'm
This
like,
is what
oh,
Ryan should
what's
have been
D&D
saying.
Bard is
TikTok?
the
And it's
horny
like,
guy.
oh, so okay. So you hit 3rd level and you have to choose your type of bard. Right?
Sure.
In this, you hit 3rd level, you get extra experience points. You get to pick a spell. It's not. So because there isn't that kind of focus on the customization, what becomes the customization is what you do in play.
Yeah, what your character as creation, not as stats. Well, maybe that's not the best.
Not
way to
even
phrase it.
it's your character is what you do.
Yeah,
Rather than
right.
what it is.
Gotcha.
And then the
Just
other
more,
thing
I guess, yeah.
That's cool about Old School Essentials over, say, Dungeon Crawl Classics, which we'll talk about in a little bit, is that there's procedures that you follow, and it's laid out straightforwardly. Every turn you're in exploring a dungeon, you mark off your light, you say where you're going, you say what you're searching for, you roll. It's and that's a very kind of
Structured, yeah.
interesting, like approach, and kind of like in kind of contemporary, like video game talk, like procedural.
Sure,
play.
right.
And which is because it's something you don't think about when you think about old D&D as far as like procedural stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's there, and like kind of seeing that, I think is.
I mean, that's one of the things I kind of find fascinating about old school essentials, because like these books are. I mean, they're. If you were the kind of person who just reads RPG books to read RPG books, they are great. They're super well laid out and awesome. But like, it also did make me harken back to playing different kinds of D&D, because of the way Dungeons and Dragons focus has shifted over the years. Where with like 3 and 3.5 and then Pathfinder, like it's interesting because I definitely know people who love the stat math of that, love that part of like the mashing character class from this book with this book, kind of to create this thing. But I also like 4th edition is where I got out of D&D for just that reason, because it became too much like snake eating its own tail of like video gamification. Like it was almost a tactical miniatures game at that point. And then 5th edition is kind of trying to like do what I think a lot of games are doing now, which is a good thing in some ways, but it depends on what you're talking about. And like this could be for everybody, which when I talk about Cypher system later, I'll get into, but this system could do anything. And sometimes that's great. It's kind of cool to have a system that is like adaptable to anything, but it also, you miss things by saying this system can do any type of storytelling.
Sure. Yeah.
Whatever. Like this is very much like rooted in like a kind of, like procedurally generated, but like there's a framework to how this works, and it's a good one and a fun one.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also in kind of an easy one to get into, I feel like, where it's pretty self-explanatory. Christine is giving us the red light. All right. Speaking of Pathfinder, so all right. This is an entire adventure path, so that's going to be 6 books. Beginning with The Extinction Curse is the name of the adventure path. So this, I think, is the first adventure path that was releasing as we opened the store. I think the first 2 were out by the time we opened, and then the remaining 3 came out each month.
It's like a piece of Superscript history here.
Nice. And we saved some of these because I think at some point in time, this was right when 2nd edition, this is the first adventure path, I believe, for 2nd edition Pathfinder. And I believe at some point I was going to teach myself the 2nd edition Pathfinder rules and try and run this, and boy was that overambitious for a bunch of people just opening a store. All right.
Well, let us see who the winner is. Oh, Sam. Oh, Sam Nevis.
Sam Nieves.
Yeah.
I know Sam. Hey,
Oh, okay.
what's up, Sam?
Hey.
Sam.
Congratulations,
Becca knows
Sam.
you, Sam. Oh, I think Sam bought me a coffee today.
Okay.
I think.
I hope Sam's in our system, 'cause the email address
If
I'm
we're,
having.
I can get a hold
You
of
got it?
him,
All right,
but-
cool. Great. Excellent. Congratulations, Sam.
Nicely done.
Cool. So yeah,
Number 1.
all this old school essential stuff is here at the shop. It's nowhere else right now.
Yeah, get it.
Thanks to Beckett for hipping us to this, like, when it was still gettable. And I guess that's...
Yeah.
Do we have any questions in the chat?
Time to move on to D&D.
Doodle says the
D&D.
4th edition was World of Warcraft without a screen. Could not agree more. That's definitely how I felt. Well, actually, our next one is we're going to talk about the current edition of
5th
Dungeons
edition.
and Dragons and what's going on. And we got a little bit of a cast change. If you mind manning the
Yeah, I
stream,
got it.
I'm going to try and
Take
wolf
that.
down that food Christine brought.
Talk about some Dungeons and Dragons.
Darn right. 5th edition. So, Ryan and I are here. Ryan and I think we started our D&D play career at the same time.
Yes.
With a game that Elliot got together probably 7 or 8 years ago.
Feels like a lifetime ago.
Yes,
at this point.
it does.
Yeah.
It was like 3 houses ago for Elliot and I. And
That was the Horde of the Dragon Queen, right? It was
Yes.
the first series that they had released for 5th edition.
Yep.
And I think when we started,
And Nick
that
was there
group was
too.
I
about
was there.
57 people, and it slowly got
That
whittled down to about 6.
The one group, I only got to play a few sessions because my work schedule conflicted with it, but it was still like one of my favorite characters I've ever had.
It was wild.
I wish I had been able to. I'll bring her back someday.
Yeah,
Do more
she had
with
like
her.
a
But
bone
anyway,
in her hair, and she was
she
about
was a
killing
little
everything.
halfling barbarian.
Mhm. Yeah,
But
but yeah. So, but what we're gonna cover today, because 5th edition is massive, D&D is massive, is the 2021 new releases. So, it's been a big year for
It has. Absolutely.
D&D this year. So we started off the year with Candlekeep Mysteries, which was a brand new. I mean, I feel like to me it was like a new idea from D&D. They had a bunch of different smaller creators make mini adventures, and then put them into Candlekeep Mysteries, collected them all. And I'm a sucker for mysteries, so I definitely bought that one. I got high on my own supply here, and
It happens.
and bought that. That started off. And Ryan's favorite came out next.
Yeah, Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. This is a source book. I love this book. I believe this introduced the backgrounds as. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm tapping on the table. I apologize. As opposed to races, you could choose something that I can't remember the exact terminology they use here, but you can use something that happened in your life, like you became an undead, and that kind of replaces the idea of a race for your character. This also goes into the creation of like dreadlords, like completely blanked on his name, Ravenloft.
Strahd?
Mr.
Straw.
Ravenloft?
Yeah, Jim Ravenloft. If you want to,
Ravenloft.
if you want to create your own kind of dreadlord like that, it gives you some ideas and different domains of dread and what they are, what they could be. I love that book, and I like to read it because, or I like to wait till it's like cold and rainy and get a big cup of coffee and just sit there and read that book. It's great.
Yeah, actually, Ravenloft was the second setting we played with our group. So after we finished Rise of Tiamat, we moved on to Ravenloft, and I created one of my favorite characters, Nevi Styx. She's a little witchy. That's right.
My favorites.
But yeah, so she was a little witchy and a good time. And Ryan got to break out from, originally you were a cleric, and you got to break out from your healing role and move along.
I created a character who did not want to be touched by anybody, so all of my spells were either to run away from people or to force people away from my person. So that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that campaign a lot.
Yeah, that was a good time. Elliot did a great job preparing it. He's been our DM throughout our D&D group. We've never switched. It's been great. So the latest release is the first adventure primarily set in the Feywild.
Right.
So Wild Beyond the Witchlight, it just came out like last month, I believe.
And an interesting thing about this is if you're an old man like me, there are stat blocks for some crazy old. Let's see if I can find them. I didn't look for them before I started flipping through here, so I'm going to be as surprised as everybody else is. But there are characters that I kind of grew up loving and kind of like creating adventures about in my own head as a child. You know what? I'm going to put it off and I'm going to look in the index like an adult. Like Warduke, and they became a toy line for a while. And I have always kind of created these crazy adventures for these characters in my head because I didn't have any, there's no cartoon for them or anything. Here he is right there. There's Warduke, a stat block for him, so you can put him in 5e. And that for me is just incredibly exciting.
I want to pick this one up. This seems like a very cool adventure.
Got a comment from the chat. Wild Beyond the Witchlight is a great D&D book. Very reminiscent of Ray Bradbury's Something Wicked This Way Comes.
Oh, interesting. That makes me want
I like
it
that
even
connection.
more.
Yeah. I definitely like the alternate cover, which if you haven't heard of alternate covers, which are somewhat new with 5th edition.
I think
believe.
yeah.
The alternate cover was beautiful, and we actually have one
For
as an
Van
example-
Richton, right?
Example for Van Richton.
This is
So
a great
you
cover.
have to like pre-order these with us. They go really quick. They're exclusive, and they only print so many, and then they're gone. Like we can never get them again. So Wild Beyond the Witchlight, we're out. That's it. Ravenloft, we have 2 left. And they're just like alternate art that's beautiful. So we're about to transition to talking about books that have not come out yet, because 2021's a big new release year. So we've got 2 more left. So if you want the alternate cover, the alternate art for the upcoming releases, let us know, and we can put you on the list to get them. So the next one coming out October 26th is Strixhaven, Curriculum of Chaos.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah, that's wizard school, sort of.
Oh, cool.
Like,
Okay,
So
yeah,
it's the-
I did see something about that one.
The Magic the Gathering,
Yes.
Strixhaven
Yeah.
set tie-in.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Wizard School.
Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of a very different approach, a very different setting than we're used to. You're like contained in a place rather than adventuring. I mean, I'm sure there are adventures to go out
Sure.
from your school, but magic, if you're a big wizard or sorcerer person, which my first character ever was a wizard, and man, was that a steep learning
That's a
curve.
complex thing.
But if you're into that kind of thing, this will be for you.
Also, these books are incredibly, even if that setting isn't super exciting for you, this book can be a great tool to just mine and pull information from for your own settings and ideas. Also, there's always stat blocks for characters and monsters and stuff that didn't exist before then. And regardless as to whether or not the adventure sounds super exciting to you, it's always worth taking a look at these books.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
if you want to pre-order this with us, make sure you have a copy on the first day. Let us know. The other one coming out in December is Fizban's Treasury of Dragons.
Give me more dragons.
Yes.
Always.
Did everything you ever wanted to know about dragons.
Yeah.
It also gives us a new dragon type.
Oh, really?
Gem dragons.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Bring it.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and then if you're into the lore, if you're into that sort of thing, you can really dive deep on dragons, get into some of those old tomes that you see on your adventures. You go to the bookshop and there's dusty old books. That's what they contain, is the Treasury of Dragons.
Yeah, I think I will get this one for myself, even though I don't know that I'll be running a 5th edition game anytime soon. But just give me more stat blocks of dragons.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the lore connecting to them too.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think there might be some character building, some character classes,
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
with this as well. So it's mainly for DMs, but as a player, I think you could pick this up and get some character ideas as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they include some things that are character specific, character classes or traits that would be characters that would hunt or chase after dragons or stuff like that, or maybe more dragon hybrid races or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are both coming out. Well, one October,
soon.
one in December.
Yeah,
So
very soon.
Yeah.
this is a lot of books for 1 year.
Yeah.
D&D.
Very ambitious
but we
year.
all needed it because we were stuck at home.
Yeah.
So
They got a lot of work done when they were
That's
just
right.
sitting at home.
Mhm.
This has the monster that is, what if your bag of holding was a demon man?
Yeah.
So it's it's pretty wild. This is
Pretty great.
This book, I adore that book. I just can't get enough of it.
yeah. Ravenloft's a fantastic setting.
Yeah.
So which I think it's time to draw
time
another
for
prize.
raffle number
We're ready
6.
for this is a big one, people. This is the biggest one of the
Oh,
day.
yeah.
We have 3 of it, so we'll be pulling 3 names. So I'm gonna pull one of them because I still haven't pulled a raffle prize. But these are the free RPG Day dice holders. So they are made of wood. They are magnetic. They are cushioned inside. Your
Yeah.
dice can travel
10,
in
16,
style.
21 burned in
Yep.
inside.
Wood burn of the date. Serious dice holder. So these are a popular one, and we have 3 of them to give away. So how to participate? Oh, that's from the chat. That was an interesting segue. I'm still gonna pull a raffle ticket.
Sometimes things happen.
Yeah. I'm fun to be around. Someone else hold this for me.
All right, go for it.
All right. First person to win.
Mark, we're pulling, to respond to the chat, we are pulling raffle prizes from people that shopped with us today for a free RPG Day.
And our first winner of the dice holders is Mark Herman. Congratulations, Mark.
Herman.
Exciting.
Nicely done.
I know there were a lot of people looking out for this, so we've got
Nice.
2 more coming. So.
I was holding it for you,
Oh,
so
I
you
was
could
gonna pull another one. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Oh, someone had a bit of luck. They were convinced all day that they were not going to be lucky. Dan Chenin. Congrats.
Yay.
All right.
See?
All right.
All right. Final one, Ryan.
Pull this final one. Unless Nick, you want to do
No,
it?
no,
All
how are
right.
you?
Joe Santasildes.
Oh, awesome.
Congrats, Joe. Well deserved.
Nice.
Exciting. Doodle says woo. Is that Dan?
That's Dan.
All right. Congrats, Dan. I'm so excited for
Nice
you.
job.
I'm glad that your luck has returned for this important prize. So next up, we're going to be talking DCC, and we're going to change out the cast. So Beckett and Nick will be handling the bulk of this, and I can move on to the chat after I grab a beverage.
Okay. Oh yeah.
All right. Beckett,
So yeah,
tell me
DCC.
everything you know about DCC.
DCC is the greatest thing to ever be made.
All right.
This dude did not hear what Nick just said.
And if I can find what kind of captures the greatness, the wonder.
Okay.
So now
Did you
this.
say Majesty, Beckett?
No, the I hit the table.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, the slow degradation that is all of our lives is captured in this piece of art.
That was my favorite page on that one.
Oh yeah, I do
and-
love that.
And it exemplifies what is great about wizardry in Dungeon Crawl Classics.
Okay.
And that
So,
it grants you great power, but it turns you into this.
yeah. Into
I do see parallel.
Gotcha. Yeah. All right.
So anytime you cast a spell in DCC, you roll a spell check.
Right.
When you roll a
On a-
1, you get corruption.
Okay.
And so, it's not you get 1 spell per day, like in Old School Essentials at first level. You can cast your
Okay.
first level spell as many
much as
times
you
as you want, but sooner or later you're gonna roll that 1
Okay.
What is
and
what sided die is that check on?
20.
Okay.
Okay.
So I mean that's 5% of the time.
Yes.
So, starts with maybe a tentacle
And how
grows out
much
of your neck.
corruption? You said it's corruption that you gain.
Corruption. Yeah.
And how is there a?
So
How quickly does that start going real bad?
it can be
Or-
gradual,
Oh, okay.
or it can. So it also depends on the spell.
Oh, okay.
So more powerful spells will cause greater corruption.
Okay. And DCC has lots of tables that you're rolling on, right?
Yeah. So each spell has its own table for effects.
Gotcha.
So, and you can also just like lose a spell. Yeah, like cast it, failure check, you lose it for the day.
Okay.
Not forever.
Not
yeah,
forever, but for the day.
For the day.
Oh, okay.
But then if you roll really high, you get better effects. And before you cast a spell, you can, cut off the tip of your pinky, and that in game mechanics is you reduce your physical ability scores to add to your spell check result, and that's spell burn, and that's like so kind of the DCC takes kind of the like basic D&D framework with the like what was simplified in 3rd edition. So it's like just 3 saving throws
Sure.
that you get a bonus to roll above something,
Okay.
rather than it being like, wait, rod, staffs, and wands, what does that mean?
Oh God.
Yeah, which is the old school essential style. This is reflex, will, and fortitude. Ascending armor class, but then
Right.
it takes each, and then it's just the basic classes in the core books. But the warrior, which is the stand-in for the fighter, gets a D die. So all combat tricks, instead of like grapple checks or like a disarm check, it's every attack you're rolling your D die instead of having a static bonus. So at first level it's a 3-sider.
Okay.
Which actually that brings up the weird dice.
Yes, we've
Yeah,
got some.
one set left
Don't worry.
on
I
yeah.
can produce.
Show us some of
An
the weird
example.
dice. Yeah.
Dan in the chat says they cannot decide which they love more, DCC or old school essentials.
You could crack it open if it's doable. Not to put you on the
Just cut
spot.
the nails.
Condition anymore.
It's okay.
We'll have to sell them used.
It's okay.
Well, it's they're only if they were sealed but bought from not a legit supplier, it would be used. These are
That's
still
right.
These are still new.
Not when you crack that
Get it
seed.
straight.
They're still new, is in terms of Ohio law.
Oh, okay.
Whoa.
What is that gobstopper?
These aren't your grandma's dice anymore.
So this
These are crazy.
is a 7-sider, a 5-sider, the 3-sider, a very
Which is
the
just Roman
coolest-
numerals for no
the,
reason.
The coolest 4-sider.
The 4-sider is awesome.
Um,
And that big one's what, 30?
This is a 30. This is a 24. This is a 16. I think that's all the really weird.
Yeah.
A 14-sider.
That's pretty weird.
So it also uses rather than static bonuses, it encourages the referee to move rolls up and down the die chain.
Okay.
So a halfling can fight with 2 weapons, but they're only rolling 2 16-siders for both weapons.
Okay. As
Instead
opposed
of
to
a
the
20-sider.
Fighter.
Or anybody, a
normal.
halfling with just 1 weapon is rolling a 20-sider.
Okay.
But so that it's like interesting, just like weird,
Yeah.
just weird mechanics
It's-
that make the classes feel different.
Okay.
So, but to get back to the mighty deed, so if you roll a 3 or higher on your deed die, you succeed in your combat trick. So it's an easy way to encourage kind of like situational combat moves.
Okay.
Without being like, well, wait, you want to swing on that chandelier to knock that guy off of the cliff? Okay, roll me a deck
Jump
or a
check,
jump
and then,
check, and then an acrobatics
all
check,
right.
and then roll to hit. All right, now roll your grapple. All right, and he gets his saving throw, and okay, he's off the cliff. It's
Right.
just your mighty deed. You know, maybe if it's knocking off a cliff and it's a boss, they'd get a saving throw. But
Okay.
if it's just like a goblin, who cares?
Peon.
He's knocked off the cliff.
Cool. So it seems like it is a game that encourages and, I don't know, it just has a lot of wild, swingy stuff happening.
It's very
and
swingy. It's very swingy. So it makes
maybe
combat
unpredictable in a way.
Yeah,
too.
and it makes combat more frightening. So
Okay.
like combat should be frightening, like if you're playing old school essentials, because you have not many hit points.
Right.
This and then each critical hits, or there are critical hit tables, there are fumble tables. So you could be doing really well, or the wizard could roll really good on their spell check, and it ends up immolating the entire countryside.
Okay.
And you're included in that. I mean that actually doesn't ever actually. That's like one of those things that people say it can happen, but it never actually happens, because to get
Never
that high of a
actually,
roll, you need to either be really high level or spell burn. And so if you're gonna spell, you're probably not gonna spell burn if you know the spell you're casting could kill everybody.
Gotcha. Right.
I mean, it could happen, but it probably won't.
Okay.
Then clerics have divine, so they can request divine aid, which is just a free form. I petition my deity for a spell-like effect to assist me in the situation.
Okay.
You roll a check, and if you succeed, your deity grants you that boon. Just
Simple enough.
Simple, open-ended.
Yeah.
But when you fail, you, as a cleric, rather than corruption, you get deity disapproval.
Okay.
So then you have to do things like attract new followers to make up for your
Yeah.
deity being
I
angry
like
with
it.
you, or you don't get spells.
Right. Very
Um,
cool.
Just all kinds of just
So
neat.
Yeah. It sounds awesome. Yeah. I've been wanting to play this for a while. Who do you think who's this game for?
It's the greatest thing in the world.
It's the
So
greatest thing in the
everyone.
world for us, so it's for everyone. Fair enough.
But there's also the adventure in the back of the book.
Okay. In the back of the core book here?
Yeah, Portal Under the Stars.
Which, by the way, is a very affordable, big core
$25.
book. Yeah. Can't beat it.
It's the best, and there is a so for the weird dice, there's a free app put out by Purple Sorcerer Games, not the publisher, just like a third-party publisher.
Yeah.
So there's like a mobile
If
app
you
that
wanna-
rolls dice for
That's
you.
nice.
They also have very cool character creation
Oh, okay.
tools. So character creation, you roll up some number of zero. I always go with 4, but it's supposed to be based on how many people you're playing with. Between 2 and 4
Okay.
characters of 0 level who are just. They may be a halfling haberdasher or a gong farmer, which is the people who collect the shit in the fields.
Okay.
To then use as fertilizer, night soil.
Right.
And you're thrust into this
Like Gauntlet
adventure,
or, yeah.
and most of your guys are gonna get killed, and then the one that survives, you develop. So a lot of times when people hear that's how the first adventure goes, they're like, well, why would I be attached to any of these characters if they're gonna die? And it's like, you're not attached to all of them. You're attached to the one that lived.
Survives. Yeah.
Because it's like, how I can't believe that Hank the farmer with the chicken under his arm made it through and is now a wizard,
Yeah. No, I mean that whole setup is one of the first things I heard about this game, and because actually I was looking into this when I ended up running Savage Worlds for a group, I was kind of looking into the two a bit, and that part of it was just so cool to me and makes so much sense for like establishing an immediate connection between the player and their character, and also probably just creating a bunch of cool ideas for the character.
And the back, you're playing the backstory.
Yeah,
So
it's brilliant. Yeah.
When you write a backstory, how often does that ever come into play?
Right.
Maybe if you're lucky, your DM reads it.
Mm-hmm.
But when everybody has participated in that backstory and forged the bonds,
Sure.
where, because does it matter how long you were a farmer? No.
Yeah.
What the cool part is like how you became a corrupted wizard.
Right.
Yeah. And it's because you found that ring in that eldritch tomb, and you were the one dumb enough to put it on.
Yeah.
And swear allegiance to Bobugbabills,
Yeah.
the Toad Demon Lord.
Yeah.
And with that, I think it's time for another prize.
Time for another prize.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Now, speaking of Shadowrun, we're gonna raffle off
The starter
this
set.
Shadowrun
We didn't really align the prizes.
beginner box. That's okay. Everyone, they get it.
Yeah, so it's a starter set. You get everything you need to run an adventure
You wanna?
in Shadowrun.
You can run in the shadows. But another great starter box for you to get started. Quick start rules, some characters.
Mary Mink.
Mary Minkos. Minkosto.
Stole.
Mary Minkus.
Mary
Minkowski?
Mink. Minkosto 6. I think that might be a 6.
Yeah, I
So
think so.
maybe that's an email address.
Oh,
It might be Mary-
Mink.st.6.
Oh,
Mary
okay.
Mink.
Mary Mink, I think.
Well, we're gonna email this person.
Yeah.
Maybe it's Mary McCloskey.
What's a Mary?
It's a Mary.
Congratulations, Mary.
Well done.
You have won the Shadowrun
Now that's a fun game.
6 World Beginner Box. Shadowrun?
Deciphering the
Oh.
email.
Decipher. Oh, yes.
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 That's the decipher system.
Yeah.
Decipher.
Speaking
Yep.
of Decipher system, we're gonna move on to the
Well, thank you for
Cipher
telling us about
system
DCC.
with Elliot. He's gonna rejoin the group here. Oh, I'll stay and run the chat. Because Nick and Elliot are gonna talk about the Cipher system.
Oh!
Maybe someone could refill Nick's beverage.
I can't talk about the Cipher system until I've had
That's
another
right.
drink.
Oh, Elliot's got a
Brought
stack.
these. Brought these books.
Oh, boy.
It's time to talk about the Cipher system. Elliot has been
Don't.
preparing this lecture all week.
It was gonna be funnier if there were enough to just
No, that's good. Yeah, it still plays. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah, there should be like a sound effect that like a whoop, sort of like peering, trying to peer over the stack.
So we did this a little bit poorly though, and then I put the actual Cipher System core rulebook. Pretty much the two primary books we need to look at.
It's okay.
On the bottom.
Just don't
Or did you
tap
do
the
it
table.
right for hilarity?
That and then. Uh-oh.
Got things from the flood. Is that?
Nope, Things from the Flood's not a Cipher
That's
System.
Polis.
Alright.
This is like a puzzle. Oh, nice.
Okay. So ask me anything about the Cipher System. I read all of these books today.
What is the Cipher
What
system?
is the Cipher?
So the Cipher System emanates from Numenera, which is a book created by Monty Cook, who is one of my favorite game designers ever. Monty Cook, probably best known for creating Planescape for 2nd edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. And we'll talk about why Numenera in and of itself is awesome in a bit. But Cipher System is kind of like a rules light. It is a rules light system where the DM never needs to roll any dice, unless they want to randomize certain things. But you create your character with like a statement with a single sentence saying, "I am a blank who is blank and is trying to," or is, so essentially who you are, what you are, and what you're trying to accomplish, and that informs a lot of your stats. So what you're focused on. So what you are as a character, what you are trying to do as a character, has a direct connection to what your stats are. I would say it's like a little less crunchy than something like Savage Worlds, but not by much. So it is still like rules light, but not. It's not Fate. It's
Well, real quick, just on the that character creation, like on starting with a statement, like is there actually like how does that is that something your DM sort of interprets into leading you towards the stats of your character from that statement, or
so that
how does that work?
That is all in the book. So you have a class, which would be I am a blank.
Okay.
And if you want to put it in like D&D terms, like I am a warrior.
Sure.
Who, and then you have a focus, and then you have an arc.
Okay, got it. And those are you are selecting from groups of
but there
those
is
things.
space to make up your arc,
Gotcha.
or make up your focus.
Okay, cool,
and
cool.
kind of custom craft
Yeah.
one of those. But the system is D20 based. You pretty much only need a single D20 to play the game. It doesn't hurt to have some extra dice around, but any task you're going to want to try and do has a difficulty rating between 0 and 10. 0 being like it's totally ordinary, you could do it no matter what, and 10 being impossible. You multiply whatever the difficulty rating is times 3. That's the number you have to roll over on a D20. But then having a thing like a skill would increase that by 1, or decrease the number you have to roll over by 1, or so on and so forth. So it's really easy to just kind of figure out how hard is this. You roll dice. Combat works the same way. You roll to attack and you roll to defend, because what's coming at you from the enemies is kind of static. So it's kind of like the inverse of DCC, which we just talked about. Is like it's a lot like damage is fixed. Creatures kind of deal a certain amount of damage when they attack. Like it a lot of things are not randomized that would otherwise be randomized in games.
Interesting.
When it comes from what the GM is doing.
Sure.
But from what the player is doing, you are still stat governed, and it's a modified D20 system.
Dan from the chat says Numenera is a wonderful setting.
It is.
Ooh, yeah.
And that is, the cipher system I think is great because it's profoundly easy to teach, and you can get a game of it going very quickly, and it still, while providing like a whole lot of like robust options for character creation. But I'd be lying if I said the thing that got me into the cipher system was not Numenera, which is a setting.
The setting.
So Numenera is 2 books now, but you really only need Discovery to play. It's kind of it's a game based on the whole Arthur C. Clarke Third Law. Third Law, Fourth Law. I can never remember which number law it is. But the technology removed by so much time would be indistinguishable from magic. So Numenera means the 9th world, and you're on Earth, the Earth we live on, after 9 civilizations, billions of years in the future, have risen and fallen. The Earth is unrecognizable as it would have been. It's like a single continent. The sun should have exploded long ago, but it didn't for some reason, and all of these past civilizations left all of these artifacts around, which are which are referred to as Numenera, which are artifacts from the 9th world. So like,
Gotcha.
Instead of finding a enchanted sword, you might find something that you recognize as an enchanted sword, but could be some sort of just technology you don't understand.
Very cool.
Yeah. It's really great. The art is outstanding.
Yeah.
The map is bonkers. The monster manual equivalent for this, the 9th World Bestiary, like, there's nothing that's even remotely allegorical to, like, Dungeons
D&D
and Dragons.
monsters
Yeah,
or
or a lot of other science fiction. Like, it's all just that weird.
Cool.
I'm trying to find some good...
What's up? That fish.
Yeah, there's a guy walking with a fish. Just
All right.
hanging out. That doesn't sound
Look
like
at that.
We've also got a starter set.
Yeah.
If you're wanting to get started,
I want to get started.
if you're just wanting to dip your toe into
Into-
Numenera,
And while we're at it, and I'm just grabbing books off the shelf. Actually, I think I grabbed this off the shelf and put it. We'll talk about that in a moment.
Oh.
You just hang on there. Oh yeah.
We've got more in the cipher system, but
Oh.
Elliot's not done with Numenera.
Oh, right.
Yeah, if you are not into the cipher system and you play the 5th edition of the, how did they phrase it on the back of?
Oh, yeah.
World's,
The world's
and
first
greatest tabletop
and greatest
role-playing game.
Yeah,
fantasy
when they
role-playing
can't
game.
say 5th edition D&D, they say that. There's an adventure and a like kind of a core book for Numenera that is 5e compatible.
5e system, yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, which is really cool because the system's great. And if you did just want to, your group plays D&D, but you think you could get them to play this sweet science
setting,
fiction
yeah.
/ fantasy, like that guy looks very much like an elf, but this thing looks like some sort of Triskelion. It's shooting a laser.
Mm-hmm. Can't have that in D&D.
No. Well, you can.
You
You
could.
can.
But
With that book.
yeah,
In Arcana of the Ancients.
yeah.
You can't otherwise.
For,
And-
for anybody who's ever looked at the Briar Peaks book and been like, this is what I want to do with Dungeons and Dragons, Numenera is very much for you.
And so,
setting
if
is
you
great.
didn't want to play Numenera, but you wanted to play in the cipher system, are there other
Well,
options?
Many.
Yeah. Well, also, this comes in both varieties,
Yeah.
actually.
We'll save this for last.
Okay.
'Cause that's a hard sell. 'Cause
What's
it's-
next?
The Strange
Strange.
is another cipher system book. If you are familiar with the shows like Fringe or I mean, I guess even X-Files to a certain degree, but this is
Yes.
contemporary Earth, that has keeps having these incursions with other multiversal parallel universes. So
Okay.
think X-Files. Think I don't know.
Oh, I'm thinking about the X-Files.
Sounds strange.
It's
Sounds...
quite strange.
Now that's strange.
And then they make a bunch of other companions for if you want to do really all you would need to play the cipher system. Can we see any of these books still as I stack them
Yeah.
taller and taller?
Yeah, it's...
I mean, you can see each.
Yeah. You can see I'm just getting closer.
The cipher system rules, much like the Savage World rules, are all you
Setting.
need. You could do the rest of the work yourself from there. But
If you're like, I don't like work.
I
I
would
wanna-
rather someone else did it for me, and you don't want to play in the sweet Numenera one. They have Godforsaken, which is kind of a low fantasy.
Upside down.
I've been correcting everybody all night, but it's really hard not to do that.
Felt good to correct you. on
I
that.
assumed it would make more sense to have it in the way in which we read.
So wait, what is that one again? Sorry, the
Godforsaken
is like a
is
fantasy?
like low
Oh, okay.
fantasy,
Cool.
Conan-ish sort of.
Yeah. And we've got
Frazetta
yeah.
sort of thing. We Are All Mad here
Frazetta
is,
adjacent.
I think you could probably do the math by looking at the
Tim
cover.
Burton.
Yeah.
Yes, Tim Burton.
Tim Burton's own world.
Yeah, very Alice in Wonderland inspired, like a whimsical sort of fantasy, strange fantasy
Really
kind
cool.
of stuff. Yeah, this book's actually awesome.
Oh yeah.
Here's this.
There's a fish too.
sense of
What's up
theme.
with the fish?
You've
That
always
one
wanted a
doesn't
fish.
have like a weird breather on.
Yeah.
D&D game.
That one's not harvesting something on the beach. These guys.
That person's got a trumpet.
But yeah, they're having a tea party.
Yeah.
What else do
Fairy
you need to
tale
know about
locations.
this setting? Yeah.
I need to know more about that fish.
I think you can.
And we got one
And
more.
we're all mad here. And then this one's really good.
There you go.
Stay Alive. Stay Alive is what it sounds like. It is a survival horror
The disco
take.
one.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. It is-
Ah, it was a stretch.
No, I think it's all right. I think it landed. But Stay Alive is as Monster of the Week is to Apocalypse World. Stay Alive is to the Cipher System.
Cool.
And then finally, oh god,
The biggest book.
yeah,
The tome.
this is. Oh, I love this so much. So this is Tolus. It's a giant book. This is actually Monty Cook's home fantasy city-based setting that he runs when he runs games. the Tollus, the city by the spire. In this book, I think every single person who lives in said city is like detailed in some way, shape, or form. Like the entire, it is one of the most detailed guides to a city you would ever see, and like you could insert this into like a Dungeons and Dragons campaign because there is both a cipher system and a 5e compatible version of it. But if you did insert it into your Dungeons and Dragons system, I'd be amazed if your players ever left the city because there's just so much to do.
Sure.
And it's so well realized and so fully fleshed out, and just so like, one of the things I love about Monty Cook is just like his ideas are familiar yet just like totally something I would never come up with.
Also, look on the side of the book. There's like little. The other side. Nope. Like.
Which side? There's
long
4
end
sides.
here. You've got these little guides that tell you your sections.
That is true. That's super helpful. Yeah, there's like I think it's like the only
It's a
book I've ever
well-thought-out
seen that
book.
isn't a religious text.
Looks like
that has
there's
3
Yes.
like 2-page.
There's
marker
3
things as
page
well.
markers?
Yeah.
What?
That's right. You've got to bookmark multiple things.
I thought there were
Yeah.
only 2.
I mean,
Okay.
that said, it could be yours for the low price
You get 2.
of $150.
That's well worth it.
It is. It's
Yeah.
awesome. It's
Very cool.
if you buy 3 Dungeons and Dragons supplements a year or whatever, that is more than that is contained in here. It is a really fascinating, just like
Holidays are coming
holistic
up.
thing.
Put this on your list.
Cool.
But I think it's time
Cool.
for another prize.
We,
So,
Another prize.
Raffle
we're gonna do this
prize.
every week, guys. I'm gonna come on here and rant about
raffle prize number
Monty Cook
8
settings.
Great.
should make its way to the table. And then we're going to change up the cast once again.
Oh, yeah.
I'll
So
let somebody
this-
else move all these books.
Is another
More
the
Critical Role.
Critical Role miniatures. So,
That's a critical role.
that's right.
That's what
All
they
right,
say.
I'm
That's
gonna-
their tagline.
That's how they end every show, right?
All right, winner today, Bronte Billings.
Yay!
Congratulations, Bronte.
Hooray!
Well done. Thank
You
you,
did
for shopping
it.
at our store today. Happy Free RPG Day. And we're going to head into our final RPG segment with Beckett and Ryan. And they're going to talk about the quiet years and others. Nick, do you want to take over the chat?
Sure. The quiet year. Oh yeah.
What do we have here?
What's in the bag?
Oh, I did it too. Huh?
It gets us all.
We're gonna keep going through
really-
this over and over again. There we go. Perfect. It says the quiet year.
Oh, real quick, just on the last segment, Doodle says, I want Tollus, but cannot decide if I want the 5e or a Cypher version.
Get them both.
Okay, there we go. Get them both.
Get
That
'em
is
both.
the official response. All right. Anyway, we've got
Alright.
some things here.
What do we got here?
So,
We got the quiet year and companion's tale.
yeah, I don't know Companion's Tale.
I believe Elliot said this was very similar to Quiet Year.
It is.
Is it same designer or?
I think.
I do not believe so.
think it
Let's talk
seems
about
like-
Quiet Year then.
Let's talk about quiet here.
So, have you played Quiet Year?
I haven't. I opened it up and took a look though, and
Oh, okay.
it looks very cool.
So yeah, I've played Quiet Year.
Yeah.
It's also very good because it's like accessible to people who are like, I don't give a shit about role playing games.
Yeah.
That's stupid. I don't want to do it. That it's like, okay, we're gonna draw a map to get. It's a different mindset. It's not like, okay, yeah, make believe,
Yeah.
grown up stuff. We're gonna draw a map that's neat.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What?
I was gonna say, I think putting the focus on like a thing, like at least right off the rip, that is a thing, other than like saying what's your character, you know,
Yeah.
like puts takes the pressure off a lot of people of like, oh, okay, I don't have to worry about my story or what my motivation is. I can just, we're gonna make a thing.
The cards
you
seem
know?
to have interesting prompts on them.
Mhm.
Like, I believe one says, like, a good omen appears, what is it? And it kind of just gets you talking about what's going on, where
Right.
you are, as opposed to, you know, trying to flesh out who this interesting character is. that
So-
you're making.
The reason I wanted to talk about, I was gonna just kind of contribute
Mhm.
because I used the Quiet Year as a campaign kickoff,
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
where you know, it wasn't like I, you know, changed the prompts,
Mhm.
but you know, we did like a map drawing session
Mhm.
of like this village, and I made some things a little bit like broader, you know, to allow for greater, you know, it was like a session
Right,
zero
right.
type
Yep,
thing.
yep.
And that one session set off the entire like 6-month campaign.
Okay. Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense because the idea here with the Quiet Year is you're just kind of building this new area. Or
And then it dies at
Yeah.
so at the end of the Quiet Year. I forget if they're Reavers or Ravagers or
Frost Shepherds.
the Frost Shepherds. The Frost Shepherds come and kill everyone.
well, also the thing about that though is that games like the Quiet Year, and I haven't played Rise, but I played the companion game Delve, which is going down as opposed to coming up. They're not even necessarily about playing the game that has the rules in there. It's about like taking the ideas that these games give you and creating a creative and fun map that, like, I play Delve because I just want to sit down and draw, and I'm not very good at art, but I don't have a lot of ideas. But this tells me, okay, well, if you pull this card, then the next room is a diamond mine, and I'm like, okay, well, I can draw a 1-inch square of what a diamond mine
Yeah.
looks like, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't really participate in the fighting of those games and things like that, and the resource management, because I just want to draw something cool, and that's what I liked about Delve so much. So when we're looking at the Quiet Year, I'm sure you could kind of apply the same rules, right? Like, we don't necessarily have to build something that's going to get destroyed. We can take these concepts, we can take these ideas, and we can make our starting
Use them for the
town
world
or
we're
the
gonna-
continent
yeah.
that we're living
And-
on or whatever.
And yeah, I also like so you also like have, yeah, like it takes a few turns to like
Mhm.
have something built.
Yeah.
So like we did away with that, and it was just like this is where the like fishing hole was
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's and then the other thing was like the dangers. You know, we
Mhm.
kind of you know, mapped out where the dangers were,
Yeah.
and then the different people who lived in the village. And so then, you know, then when we played the first session, the danger came kind of like the Frost Shepherds coming, but the characters all kind of escaped, and then they were, you know, out, you know, kind of hiding and trying to get back, and you know, then
you get your chance
it
to
just
react.
kind of, you know, organically
Yeah, absolutely.
had like the faction, you know, that there were player created factions that then I kind of, you know, took the strings and pulled together.
Yeah. So one of the really good things about that stuff is if you're not used to thinking in these ways, these are some interesting things that will let you see like what some of those questions are that you could ask yourself or others, so that you could start kind of thinking in this mindset of even how do I create a town? How do I create a map? How do I create even like a race of characters for my role-playing setting? So yeah, I really appreciate that kind of
Yeah,
stuff in
and
these types of games.
What I liked is it broke me out of the thinking of, well, okay, I'm the dungeon master. I
Mhm.
have to prepare this world.
Right.
You know, because, like, I mean,
Right.
that's just kind of this thing that has been driven into,
Yeah.
you know, gaming conventional wisdom, where it's like, you are providing a noble service to your friends
It's
and
a
taking
burden,
on
isn't it? Like it's
the responsibility of being a dungeon master. But it's like, hey, you can ask other people
Yeah.
what they think, and
Yeah.
they may have good ideas, you know, just
Yeah.
like kind of cracking out of that mindset. So then even if you don't use something with those prompts and you're just like, well, why don't you tell me what the village you came from is called?
Yeah.
Wait, but I don't know. I don't know what your world is. I'm like, it's make believe.
Yeah, just make it up.
Yeah.
Just make it up.
And-
you ask me to do it all the
and
time.
then-
It's your turn.
And then when if you made up that you're from Wood Lake
Mm-hmm.
and it was a terrible place that you escaped from, you're gonna care a lot more than if I'm like, hey, this is where you were from.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And Ryan, the current game you're running here is at least partially set up with like sort of world building being like an ongoing part of the game, right?
I made a blank slate and I said, this is the name of the city and here's about 10 people who live here. So when we get over the mountain range, you're going to tell me what you see. And I have gotten a lot of really creative responses and I've gotten a lot of positive feedback from that. So, I mean, that's been very interesting because as the DM, it takes a load off of my shoulders where I have to find all of this stuff and create it, but also the people who are playing in my game enjoy adding that input. So I have found it to be mutually rewarding to do that. Absolutely. So I might actually get the quiet year just so I can get some more ideas of question prompts and stuff like that. So,
Nice.
I
think
for our
we're-
final raffle prize.
Ready for the final prize.
Oh, what do we got?
Oh yes, the aforementioned Tales from the Loop starter set.
Who wants to do the final
Oh, I
poll?
love this game.
You do.
I think you should do
Want me
it.
to do it? All right. Well, I looked in there, so now I gotta
Oh.
take it. Sorry, everybody.
Now you gotta leave now.
All right. I'll walk out into Lake Erie, never to return. Craig Murray?
Greg Murray!
Always picking up new hobbies.
Nice.
That's what we like to see.
Like,
Yeah.
a large
Congrats.
full color map of the land of the loop.
Oh,
Have you
yeah.
ever heard the band Land of the Loops?
No. Should I listen?
It's good, yeah. Before loop based music
Oh.
was like a million things on SoundCloud and Bandcamp or whatever.
Yeah.
It was like a novel, because it had more of like a indie rock vibe than, like a DJ Shadow kind of.
Yeah.
Land of the Loops.
You heard it here first, folks.
And they made it into a role playing
Check
game.
it out. Yep. From band
To game.
to role-playing game. It all comes around.
So I think
Well,
we're
I
gonna
think
close
we're
it
gonna
out.
get Ellie and
All right.
Christine on here and close out. Thank you to our very special friends, Beckett and Ryan.
Yes.
For
Thanks
joining
for
us.
joining us.
They both ran some games for the day,
And Ryan runs a regular game here in the store, first Sundays of the month at 1 p.m. So if you're ever interested in signing up, contact the store. And you can submit a character sheet for Ryan's approval. Just want to make sure that you have it set up and are ready to go on the first day so that we don't have to spend so much time creating your character. And Ryan is willing to meet ahead of time to help you get up to speed. So if you're a beginner, this is very beginner friendly. And if you want any help ahead of time before the game,
Oh,
Ryan's
hell yeah.
willing to help.
Sorry, I just caught the piece of art that Nick is utilizing for a thing.
All right. Looks like good visuals are to come, but we're gonna close it out.
for now,
For
look at
now.
us. Oh, also, real quick, we don't have the details yet, but we'll I think in the near future, Beckett will be doing a DM
Masterclass?
Masterclass.
Wow.
We're calling it. So I'm calling it masterclass.
That's right.
So if you have enjoyed his, whether you
Yeah.
played any of his games here, or if you've just enjoyed his insight into
Yeah,
all
if you've
the
ever wanted to make the leap
RPGs
but
and
we're
you've wanted
scared.
to, or
And
just
the-
hone your
The
skills
focus on public games.
and the focus on
We're
public
playing with
games.
strangers.
Yeah.
People you don't know.
Playing with strangers.
Right.
New
Yep.
groups.
Playing with strangers.
So-
That's what we're gonna call it. That's the
what I teach my
subtitle.
children.
That's what Becca teaches.
Perfect.
So,
Um,
Yeah.
and
yeah.
with that, I think it's time to shut down the night. But do we have
It's
we-
definitely time to shut
have
down.
anything
the
else?
lights.
We,
All going past that
but
point
what
of
should
night.
we? What's
Oh,
coming
yeah.
up at Superscript?
couple
Like
weeks.
we've
Or,
got
yeah, it's on the
things
radar.
coming
We have-
up in the
I
store.
think we have things like tomorrow coming out in the store, right? Necromunda tomorrow.
Tomorrow is.
Oh no, tomorrow is 7TV.
7TV game demo.
Yeah, which is an excellent narrative miniatures-based game run by Chris Rawl and Bo Schultz. They bring fantastic terrain creations. You don't have to bring anything to play.
Yeah,
You can
it's a
just
game
show
demo.
up
You
and
just
hang
show
out.
up and they will
And they
show
will
you how to
bring
play.
a ton of amazingly crafted bits of terrain and models for you to play with.
and
The
not
game's-
even just show you how to play. You get to get a
Yeah,
game.
you will just play, and it's a very fun, swingy narrative
Fun
game.
skirmish game.
So there's that. It's always Hobby Day on. Gas network somehow.
Oh, no, it's back.
No.
Okay, we're back.
Momentary.
Sorry
Yeah,
for
looks
that
like it.
blip.
No.
I think we should be back. Yeah, it had a weird blip there. Yeah.
But so yeah, other things coming up this month.
Halloween.
Halloween. Halloween
What are
is
we
coming
doing
up.
for Halloween, guys?
We're doing all kinds of stuff. We planned it out the other night.
Are we allowed to talk about it yet?
We have several
We'll
events going
have-
on. We will have an Innistrad draft.
Yep, on
Friday
Friday,
night.
the 29th,
Mm-hmm.
Innistrad, the werewolf set of Magic the Gathering.
The
by
werewolf
Richard
set of Magic
Garfield.
Gather.
Yes, there will be
PhD.
free comics. So there
That will be on
free-
Saturday.
on
Some
Saturday.
free Halloween comics.
Yep, there's a Batman one.
Yep.
And then we are, I believe we're going to try to do a little paint
That's right.
test.
Day one of the Superscript Paint Olympics, Hobby Olympics. 12
Day.
spots. It'll be $25, I believe.
so.
You get all the paint in the model.
Yeah, you get all the
It's
paint in the
painting
model.
a,
You have 3 hours to paint it.
What is it? It's like the undead beholder.
Yes,
And this
it's
is
a
on
Death Tyrant.
Sunday.
Death Tyrant.
So
yeah.
what is it? November 1st, I believe. Or no, it's
Um,
actually
no,
on
it'll be
Halloween.
On Halloween.
On
yeah.
Halloween. We are probably going to try to do another live stream, most
Mhm.
likely. And this, we're going to change it up a little bit. We're going to play Arkham Horror.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, it'll just be us playing Arkham Horror and hanging out and just chill.
Card game.
The living
game.
card game.
Card game.
Yeah,
The
which
living
there is a
card
new
game.
edition of, and
And in
Or
the
a
new
new
edition, you
packaging
can, in one box, you can get enough supplies for 4 people to play.
Yeah.
So the
Which is
thing
a
with
great
the old box is
improvement.
like you could buy it, but only 2 people could play, even though it's a 1 to 4 player game. So you had to get a
Yeah.
friend to also buy one so that you could have your 4 player game. Now you can buy it all in one box and get your 3 other friends to play.
perfect.
Excellent.
We just need another friend.
So that's what's coming up at Superscript, and I think it's gotten late, so we should
Let's
probably
sign off.
and see this beautiful visuals that are coming our way.
Yeah, put a book here too. In
Congrats to
in
all
the-
our winners. You have
grab
1
a
week
book.
in the
to
thing.
pick it up.
Yeah, pick up your free stuff.
We will email you.
And thank you for joining us, and thank you all. See you next time.